with Congresswoman Mace from South Carolina. She sits on the Armed Services, Veterans Affairs, and the Oversights Committee. Congresswoman Mace, great to have you with us today. Tell me a little bit about why you decided to vote in favor of this bill, given that it had some things that you liked and some that you didn't.
Well, we know that when the bill goes to the Senate, it will change. And I want to make sure, as someone who represents a large military community, I have many members of my family also in the military, and I sit on the House Armed Services Committee, that we are funding and giving all the resources we can to develop and contain and still maintain the brightest, the best, the brightest, the strongest, most lethal force in the world. And we need to do this. And I had hoped it'd be more bipartisan than it was today when it passed out of the House. And I hope that the Senate will keep as much of it intact as possible. We got to make sure that we get this done in a timely and efficient manner so we can do this.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to cut off funding for the Ukraine war. One of your colleagues, she says that she only agreed to vote yes on this bill because she got an assurance by Speaker McCarthy that she would be on the conference after it goes to the Senate to reconcile the final bill. Watch this.
I spoke with the Speaker, and he asked me if I would be part of the conference with the Senate. And in doing so, that allows me to go and be a voice in the room to talk about removing the money going to Ukraine, to talk about the importance that our Department of Defense's mission is to deter war and protect our nation's national security. And I'm very excited to be able to do that.
All right, so that is a sentiment that is powerful among some Americans in this country. Others are very supportive of the war. What do you think this looks like when it comes back from the Senate? And are you glad that she made that agreement with McCarthy to be on that conference?
Well, that's up to the Speaker to decide who will be on the conference. But we all know that when it heads over to the Senate, it will look different than it does today. And look, we have a divided Congress, and we've got to make sure that we can figure out some kind of legislation that can pass both chambers in order to make sure that we can prepare to have the best and brightest and most prepared forces here and abroad. And, you know, the issue of Ukraine is mixed. I know that in South Carolina, it's about 50-50 on support for those who support Ukraine and those who don't. This is not easy, especially when inflation still is as high as it is today and costs are still rising. It's problematic for a lot of Americans to see us send money overseas. But at the same time, we want to make sure we support our allies in NATO and that we don't have World War II all over again. So it's a balance here.
Okay. Thank you very much, Congresswoman Nancy Mace from South Carolina. Good to have you with us today.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you. So let's bring in Congressman Khanna, Democrat from California, who's on the Armed Services Committee and the Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party. Congressman Khanna, thank you very much. It's great to have you with us today. What's your reaction to this bill with regard to some of the elements of it that eliminate the ability to pay for transportation, to have an abortion, or transgender surgeries is also eliminated from this bill? What do you say?
I oppose those. I support reproductive rights. I support parents and trans individuals making those decisions for themselves. I don't think the government should be making those decisions. But the biggest reason I voted no is you've got defense contractors price gouging the American people, charging taxpayers 10,000% more. I mean, we're giving almost $1 trillion to the military, and we don't have enough artillery to produce. This has to stop. We need more accountability.
Well, I mean, I think that's a great point. One of the things that Speaker McCarthy said today was that this will cut, I think it was $30 or $40 billion from defense spending, and that it will cut waste as well. Do you think that will happen as a result of this bill if that part of it makes it through the legislative process?
No, I mean, the top line is increasing. We've gone from an increase from the past budget to the next budget. And the question is, are we spending on things that we actually need to make us safe as a country? Look at steel. We don't have a single steel company in the top 15 in this nation. 9 of the steel companies are in China. How are we not spending on our industrial base? How are we not spending on artillery? How are we not spending enough on naval superiority in the Pacific, on AI, on technology? Instead, hundreds of billions are going unaccounted to defense contractors, and that is a problem.
I think that's something that resonates with voters on both sides of the aisle, Congressman. I know you were also in a discussion on Twitter Spaces with Elon Musk about AI. How much of this budget goes to making sure that we are on the edge we need to be on with AI, that we're competitive? I know there was also a briefing on the Hill this week, really the first time, explaining what other countries' capabilities are in that venue.
We are making progress there. I think Chairman Gallagher, I'm the ranking member on the Technology Committee of Defense, has put in provisions to make it easier to adopt commercial technology. But we have progress there to make as well. I mean, I represent Silicon Valley. A lot of the AI innovation is happening there, and it's still too difficult to get that technology into our military. We have to have better coordination with Silicon Valley so we have the leading AI, and that's going to be the warfare of the future.
Congressman Ro Khanna, thank you very much, sir. Great to have you with us today.
Thank you.